The United States is deeply concerned about the potential for an escalation of the crisis in Burundi following a series of assassinations there. America's new special envoy for the Great Lakes region, Perriello, has just returned from a regional tour which included talks in Burundi. His goal is to encourage the parties to begin the process of building a platform for peace. He's been speaking with our Washington Correspondent Daniel Ryntjes from the U.S. State Department.
Special Envoy Perriello, thanks very much for joining us here at the State Department. You've just come back from the region. I want to ask you about the level of assassinations in Burundi and attempted assassinations. How concerned are you that this situation is escalating the crisis?
We are extremely concerned about the situation in Burundi, the humanitarian crisis as well as the political crisis. We've seen several high-profile assassinations and assassination attempts just in the past week, as well as lots of reports of ongoing violence. But so far, we haven't seen that spill into widespread and systematic violence. So we continue to call on all sides in the country and across the region to continue calling for calm, but we are deeply concerned at this time.
Given all of this, how much traction were you able to get with the major players in Burundi?
We were able to meet with many representatives from all sides in Burundi. I think there is a deep commitment on not seeing this turn into a worse situation than it is, and everybody, almost everyone seems to agree that a comprehensive political dialogue has to be the way forward, and that regional leadership is essential to make that happen. We've seen great regional leadership at key moments throughout the last couple of years, and we have to remember that Burundi has come a long way and been a model in some ways of moving beyond a civil war, and a civil war that had an ethnic component, to an integrated society that's been relatively stable. So we really want to prevent that backsliding from happening and see a positive path forward for Burundi.
Are you satisfied with the level of regional involvement in trying to bring about a peaceful solution here?
The United States and people throughout the international community are extremely dedicated to the importance of regional leadership on finding a path forward. We've seen interventions, political interventions from regional leaders that have been incredibly constructive at key moments over the last year in particular, and we think that has to continue to be part of it. So the East African community as well as the AU clearly have an important role to play here, and we are strongly encouraging and ready to put the support of the United States behind those regional efforts.
Are you concerned that the fact that Burundi has this very important force in Somalia is holding back the regional players in pressing the government and the other players in Burundi to do much more towards peace building?
We haven't seen that as a factor. We've seen a willingness for regional leadership, but need that to resume in a very strong way at this time. And ultimately, the actors most responsible for the situation and the solution must be the Burundian leaders themselves. We've seen some positive signs, like President Nkurunziza calling for calm in the wake of the assassination of General Adolf. We think these are important signals to be sent from all sides to call for calm and to see a resumption of that political dialogue.
And can you see a greater role now for the broader international community, the United Nations, and indeed some of the international actors who are on the ground in Burundi and maybe monitoring what's going on?
Well, I think you've seen from the United States, the UN, and the international community a strong willingness to try to be part of the solution and to be present. But ultimately, the most important thing is going to be for the leaders within Burundi on all sides of this. And it is a multifaceted discourse and crisis going on right now. Come to the table and are committed to not having all the answers and every solution worked out before the dialogue resumes, but use that dialogue to find a path forward and get Burundi back onto a stable footing.